from them coming into game number 3, because I don't feel like it quite hit the mark that Venus was looking for.
Yeah, that ban list was certainly getting a little bit thin by the end when it came to jungle pool, so Venus did have a 100% record on the champion to start things off, but only going to make it 50% now. It's a huge chunk to be taken out when the sample size is so small. And there's the Syndra ban that you were looking for, Rusty. And once again, Sejuani and Kalista are going to be banned on the red side. Both teams, in fact, doing that one. As Varus is going to be the final ban here from WE.
Yeah, and the Varus removed. I wonder if Lulu is a priority for Team WE at all. I'm going to say I doubt it. They wanted to just get rid of one of the stronger lane-based champions.
Galio is still available.
Galio is always going to be a champion of choice, but not just the Varus ban. This is also going to be locked in by Mystic, and you leave open Tristana, he'll pick it, but you leave open Xayah, much higher priority.
Yeah, he's going to pick that one first, and no Rakan ban as well. See where the young generation decide to deny the Lovers duo, but there's a big gargoyle standing out like a sore thumb, and Nocti is going to lock that one away, and now does the Rakan follow up? And it does, immediately locked away there by Young Generation. So I like the second round of picks.
I like that they've picked the champions they have, but I don't know if I like that they've denied 2 champions explicitly from Team WE as their draft phase. The question is, can they play them to the level of Team WE, or are they just denying them? In which case, what is the rest of the composition going to be? You can't pick 5 champions with the sole purpose of denying it from your opponents, as Team WE now get the chance to respond. I'm expecting a jungler with this rotation.
Well, Janna going to be locked away, so the bottom lane most certainly secured, and there is the Gragas. The Wombo combo of disengage for WE is available if they want it.
Yeah, if they lock that one in, which they do, it means that champions like Corki and carries can also be looked at in the middle lane for themselves. You're also missing the top laner from 957. They might want to find out if it's the Galio they're against or if it's Galio mid lane for Xie to be playing against him, and they may find that out through this next pick phase.
Well, it's going to be difficult to figure that one out completely, so flex pick going to be working out here for Young Generation as they have to choose what bans are going to start things off. And junglers are probably going to be looked at here by WE as far as the focus of these bans. We did see the Elise and the Gragas banned away last game. Now with WE locking away the Gragas. See whether Lee Sin actually spends some time on that ban list.
I don't think it will. It could, but
potentially. I mean, what are the other junglers? I mean, you've got Olaf theoretically, but it's not Forlan. It's going to be taken to the Rift. Nidalee, certainly another one of those options.
Very good tempo jungler. Venus maybe a Nidalee player, but it's a lot of respect shown by Team WE just for banning that one away. Perhaps concerned about being outpaced through the jungle when Condi is spending so much of his life ganking opposed to clearing.
Yeah. Well, Rumble going to be taken away from 957. That extra damage of the magic variety on the top side of the map no longer there, followed by the Cho'Gath as well. So Nocti wanting to change things up as we move to game number 3. May mean that he's going to be taking the Galio. We've seen a lot of other regions moving that Galio topside, whereas Team WE do like to play it in the mid lane if they get it.
It also means that Maokai is going to be up and available as one of the few remaining tanks to be picked in that top lane. Shen's also an option. 957 will be a good Shen player if he chooses to lock that one in response to something like the Maokai. So there's still enough top laners, let's say, as 2 junglers will be focused from Venus. I don't mind that they've gone for the Elise ban. It means that even Gragas could flex the top if they want, Team WE.
Yeah, 957 certainly has played that one, but I know I don't really like being a prophet when it's not necessarily the greatest choice, but Venus is going to lock away the Lee Sin once again. Now Mystic playing with the crowd's hearts as you heard the gasps. They want Susan, but I don't think Susan's going to happen.
He's going through the alphabet to get to Maokai. Of course, that is the expectation for Team WE. Maokai, we mentioned, one of the few remaining tanks left in this draft. Very strong top laner. I assume it will be into the Galio of Nocti.
But they are going to keep that one unknown. So Young Generation on the red side once again. An element of surprise certainly there. And they do like to counterpick for Null, theoretically. But their history here in this tournament is anything to go by.
The option to do so, of course, is there by being last pick. Xie is about to show his hand with the champion that he would like. Corki is something that we mentioned with the Janna Gragas composition. Maokai as well to stand in front and crowd control. As long as you're there, able to do damage, this also applies.
Okay, so the Jace are going full AD for Team WE. I do like the Corki just because you get that mixed damage. 80% magic on the auto is certainly going to be feeling good as Palette. Oh, just do it. Don't be scared.
almost feels like they're messing with the crowd a little bit more. You can hear the audible excitement at every opportunity. The champion gets hovered.
Well, Jace hasn't necessarily been too successful so far in the play-ins. Laning experience hasn't been the greatest, but that is going to be LeBlanc locked in for Null. So he's going to have a lot of assassination potential, and can Xie be that dominant force that we know he can be? Maybe not necessarily recently, but he's been warming up so far in this tournament.
You have to cast your mind, of course, back to when they last played Jace in this tournament. Xie did have a decent showing.
That's true.
They were able to get the victory there. Team WE yet to lose a game at Worlds play-ins. Looking fantastic. Jace is still one of those few champions. He's going to go towards the Ignite that can hard pressure his lane, but can also roam incredibly well and have super strong ganks. But when you've got the Ignite, its expectations are just try and control that 1v1 a bit more.
Yeah, the intense poke with the accelerated shock blasts as well will mean that WE can set themselves up for sieges, and then if Young Generation want to come at them in any sort of engagement, then they just throw down an explosive cask or a monsoon or a bramble smash or anything they want. They can even smash it back with the big hammer that Jace does have available to him. So as far as disengage is concerned, they're absolutely fine. Plus, Xayah loves it when you come towards her.
Absolutely. If you're walking towards a Xayah, then you're potentially working towards the win conditions of that team, especially when they've got the Janna protecting it, the Gragas protecting it, Maokai also able to help with disengages or get those big flanks off. Young Generation, however, when you look at their team composition, Lee Sin Galio, Rakan Galio, all very good wombos, very much applicable wombos that they're able to put into play here up against the Team WE comp.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that they have disengage options as well in the Buster Shot, in the Dragon Rage kick, and then Nocti able to get there and help out. So I do like what Young Generation have put together, and I know I've been focusing a little bit, but WE not necessarily having the damage range could be dangerous.
Yeah, it could be. Xayah and Jace, very low range champions. LeBlanc's chains will be...
Oh, more like damage range in Magic and Physical.
Ah, yes.
Just said it real bad. I'm
yeah,
sorry,
okay.
Rusty.
No, I'm with you now. Either way, it still all applies.
That's true.
Yeah, but the amount of physical damage, that's true. If you've got a Galio that can stack one form of resistance, then it's a very happy Galio.
Does prefer to be stacking the magic resist, but
yes,
still is going to be totally fine.
You can do both. You scale with levels when you've got a magic shield, so I'd argue that perhaps even just stacking armor is the better way to go, especially as a top laner. It might just be a Spectre's Cow straight into the Righteous Glory.
Well, I like it from Nocti. He's actually going to start off with the refillable potion and the Dark Seal. Double Dark Seals, in fact, coming out from Young Generation. So they liked it in the solo lanes, and they put rings on it.
And Dark Seal Galio top lane is abstract to me. I can understand what it wants to do.
I like the word abstract.
It can increase the amount of healing he'll have in his lane, but it almost means that he will acknowledge his lane isn't going to go all that well. Doran's Ring for extra mana return, killing minions could help with using spells to clear waves, but it seems that he just wants to recall early. Just wants to try and trade with 957, use his teleport to get back to lane and sustain through that for an extended period of time. Ultimately, 957 just standard with his Doran shield, does not want to die.
Yep. And once again, late ward on the red buff here for WE. Want to know exactly where Venus is going to be starting, and they're going to know that the blue buff was the desired location. We'll see how these lanes end up working out. Xie going to miss his third CS, so probably
but so
just
did
can't-
Null.
Oh god, okay.
That was a
Null.
really good trade.
Incredible trade, actually. That's what Jace can do in the early levels, Rusty. How do you see this mid lane going, of course, as a mid laner formerly yourself?
But Jace just has a pretty good time into LeBlanc, unless the chains connect. It's all about skirting around.
What was that?
Speaking of
Mystic.
skirting around, that's the go forwards approach. Make
Yeah.
sure that skill shots do not connect.
Well, that is the kind of trust you want in a relationship, you know? Rakan launches himself at Xayah, just doesn't really mind. It's okay, babe. You can just head past.
Is that how they
get
talk?
some free autos. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. Xie,
There you go.
Stunned, so it's going to be claimed back here by Null.
Much
Had
better
eaten one
trade.
of his potions.
One difference as well is the biscuit that you're seeing from Jets. These two. That was a flash and a heal.
Yeah. Big Crow now in trouble. It's Mystic, a lot of respect is being given to this Xayah.
You know, we haven't spoken about it in great detail, but since we are looking at it, Mystic on Xayah is one of those incredible players. He has watched and played a lot of it in the LPL, and he also learnt the hard way by being beaten around with Xayah. There's a couple of really cool interactions that he's capable of doing. The Flash E, where you can return the blades and redirect them by flashing, is something that Mystic is a big fan of. because it killed him when he tried to 1v1 another AD carry in the league. And now he uses it all the time.
Well, you know, if it takes you down, seems like something you'd want to utilize. The thing that I really like from Mystic is he's adapted to the speed of the grand entrance out of Pallet so incredibly well. You saw it just walks out of the way, and now that the movement speed isn't as high on that ability, you can just dodge it by walking. Will mean that Pallet's going to have to really up that aim. Get himself able to land those.
I think usually now with the new Rakan, it becomes less speedy when you have the boots upgrade. So until you get that purchase, yeah. Because the movement speed bonus was a big bonus beforehand, where now the base has been increased, but the movement bonus has been decreased.
100% to 30% as far as your additional movement speed, I believe, off the top of my head. Don't quote me on that, Russ. Pallet is going to take a cheeky auto, but Mystic unable to get through the shield. And things have calmed down as, once again, casual wander out of the knock-up from the grand entrance.
The slight juke to the left. Last time it was just moving forwards. Mystic showing that he is not just an expert on Zaire, but that he can expertly work around Rakan, the other part of the duo. And Pallet not having a great experience trying to hit these Ws, but it isn't losing them the lane. It's just being pushed in. You will see a notable CS difference, however, between them. That's starting to crop up from the extra control that Mystic and Zero have been getting. Slowly but surely.
Well, junglers, speaking of control, one of those wards is going to be taken down here by Venus. Has a bit of control as a great him this finally going to land. Barrier immediately thrown out there by Mystic, who's trying to get the damage back. Explosive charge, not going to be quite enough as Zero with the Eye of the Storm does come in. Venus turning up the teleports there as well as the Blade Call is in. Mystic still alive for the moment. It's a really good tornado to come out from Zero, but it's not enough, and First Blood goes over to Null.
The heal, the barrier, the flash was all used. Mystic is still going to die in the end. The teleport from Null, of all people, down into this bottom lane, immediately hitting those chains. Fantastic stuff from Young Generation. First things first, the shield just dissipated from Mystic. So timing it around Janna, Zero not able to do enough work, but he still interrupts the jump with his tornado in a situation where you say Mystic absolutely dead. Well, still dies in the end. You got to see the Flash Blade Caller as well, but Null's the real MVP here. Condi with a too little too late scenario there. Watches as his AD carry dies.
Yeah, now Nocti clearing things out towards the top side of the map, but once again, Young Generation off to a fantastic start. It's a little bit of a different scenario given the fact that WE's composition works a little bit better this time, front to back. But any sort of lead against a team that does have a high index on one type of damage is certainly fantastic, because it's not like it's going to be difficult getting your tanks to itemize against these carries who do want to get themselves decent leads.
Yeah, and the LeBlanc also picks up the kill, which is very handy. It means the Seeker's Arm Guard will be collected in the middle lane for Null, up against the Jace, who goes for lethality as the first item. So early armor for the LeBlanc will do wonders for the laning in the 1v1. Very nice for Null to have up against Xie, who has been doing fine up until this point.
Casual hallucination just hangs out underneath the turret, as you can see. And the blue buff going to be scattered out here by Nocti. Does notice that hasn't been taken just yet.
Nocti does love his red side top laning. He always goes towards the enemy blue buff. He does it rather efficiently from what we have seen of him so far. Cho'Gath stealing away blues and the like.
Yeah, just trying to pick up this farm underneath the turret. You can see Null able to do a lot of burst damage. He can get that shatter off.
Starting to harass him out. Darksteel not with a refillable potion, however, for Null, so maybe money inefficient when it comes to the potion spending.
True.
But so far, so good at recuperating what was happening in this middle lane very early on.
Dangerous thing now, Big Cora actually going back with about perfect gold to buy BF sword, but he now doesn't have any potions to speak of, so a lot of that damage will be sticking. This Pallet can actually get these Gleaming Quill heals off. She does. At least that time.
And Mystic on the opposite side have the Cull and 2 long swords to be seen from him, knowing full well that he just wants to farm up an extra 100 CS and make that Cull efficient. Up until that point, the BF sword should be stronger for AD trades.
Oh, got another engagement. Yeah, really good. Howling Gale comes in from Zero just to get that disengage happening, and Eye of the Storm's going to keep Mystic healthy. Condi needs to be careful, actually. Here his entrance comes in as Venus kicks back Condi, and my god, That Q went a long way, Noel, and he's going to make himself 2-0 now. The mid laner that Young Generation get behind is really starting to take off.
Double buffs with the 2-0 is very dangerous for LeBlanc to have. Jace
Yeah, just leaves.
Gonna have a pretty rough time with him. May just try and trade from the bush if he walks predictably, which is not, but there he is.
Oh, this face check is not what you wanted. Chie just ends the life of Noel. The Ignite's enough to do it, and that's the double buffs transitioned again.
And I can't stress how clean that was from Xie as well, using the perfect Jace combo the way that you should execute on that combo, speeding up his auto attack, switching into hammer form to get 3 quick taps out in the duration of the Ignite, knowing there was no W for Noel, doesn't even flash to safety. He's just dead.
Straight up dead. And now double buffs in the hands of Xie instead. Has himself a 10 CS lead at the same time, and my goodness, that may have actually just saved what could have been an incredible snowball from Young Generation to start this game off.
It's one of those moments where you see him walk around to the bottom side of mid, not phased by a LeBlanc clone in this case, but you're not too sure why he was there, and suddenly Noel's walking in that direction and just kills him. Almost unexpected as to why he was there in the first place. Condi, we get to see how he dies. Of course, he was on a ward. Now, he could have smoked the blue buff on his way out, may have survived, but he flashes out, doesn't get the smite off. Noel will pick up that kill. Now we get to watch as Xie. Watch for the combo here. The amount of buttons that he has to press in such a short duration. You can see the empowered auto attack speed as well. Very clean coming out of the mid laner of Team WE.
Yeah, hopefully we can get the button tracker like we've been seeing from LoL Esports on Twitter to show exactly what was being pressed. There's Xie once again going to cheat towards the bottom side. The Raptors are being taken here by Condi, who's had a relatively slow game.
Yeah.
In contrast to what have been pretty fantastic performances so far this series.
If we're comparing the last game to this one, this is one of the slowest games you've seen from Condi. Ultimately, he's playing the Gragas. He's being tracked a bit more by the Lee Sin of Venus, who has been much more active relative to his last game as well. But most of that is around finding Condi, opposed to finding ganks. And I would still say that's a perfectly fine decision. Condi does love to spend a fair amount of his time towards tracking the enemy junglers. Well, the shoe's on the other foot.
Kitty. Not going to find Nocti, but at least 957 now knows exactly what's going on as he just gets bramble bashed backwards. Iteration was a little bit unintentional, but he didn't mind it.
How exciting it is as well to watch top laners fight each other.
That's why we're talking about alliteration as opposed to what's actually happening here is, yeah, the taunt's that's gonna land, Nocti, and it's not gonna do anything, as they're about as even as you possibly can be up on the top side.
We have a Ghost Blade completed as well for Xie in this middle lane, contrasting that, of course, to Noel, who has gone towards the Hextech Gunblade, but he had to go seek his arm guard first. Now, that is unfortunate for the LeBlanc. It means it delays his big item spike, where Xie has one right now. There's an opportunity for Team WE to work around that fact.
I like that he just uses the Ghost Blade as well. Clears out the back line of minions with that Shock Blast.
I guess it looks threatening.
Yeah.
To have Ghost Blades.
And also, it's like it's got a really low cooldown. And how many times do you buy Ghost Blade and you just don't feel like you use it enough? Happens to me a lot. I guess, you know, having more buttons to press is difficult. Yeah, just going to pick this one up as it heads towards him as well. Just still giving respect to Noel here in the mid lane. He's going to move down and spot Condi out.
And so they should. They have to give respect to Noel. He's still very strong even after he died. Only puts him at 2-1. And though he hasn't got the big item spikes, he's far enough ahead that he has still got items, as Control Ward is not allowed to be secured by him at all. It's going to get replaced. Don't even think about it.
I believe that was Zero chucked an extra one down. Potentially.
Speaking of wards, though, Atlas, look at the wards that Young Generation have got inside the red side jungle of Team WE.
Yeah.
Almost a straight line, and then one deep ward just behind where Condi is right now. It means that if it came to it, there's absolutely teleport spots up and available, but most importantly, they can see where Condi is.
They also have an inside track towards this dragon as well. Of course, it is a Cloud Drake, so not necessarily the most coveted, but certainly an option. Vision going to be solely in the hands of Young Generation after this ward is removed from the back of the pit.
They want pallet. They don't know that Lee Sin's just around the corner. And this is now a risk as LeBlanc starts to collapse with it. Suddenly, you would say Condi's at risk.
Yeah, and Shea as well giving a lot of respect here to Young Generation as Shea finds Null once again. Does need to be careful, but the root comes in. Hero's entrance is there, and Nocti gonna colossally smash him out of the fight. 957 makes his way through, but this is dangerous as Featherstorm comes in from Mystic. He's trying to get the work done. They're looking for Null if they can get him, but they still haven't been able to pick one. 957 finally able to lock down a kill, and he's so tanky. Nocti dies as well as Mystic grabs that kill, and they just did not have the damage. Null just used all his combo already.
Incredibly, there's not enough damage to secure the kill onto Mystic, who looked like he was a tank in that fight, just sitting in the front lines and does not die. I at the very least expected him to die in the end. But no, just plays it expertly, has the team supporting him throughout all of this. The ultimate usage, everything goes correct for him in the end. And that was after they pick off Shea.
And the Ardent Sensor was already done. That's probably why he didn't take a lot of damage there, Rusty.
That's a teleport actually behind them. He may take damage now.
That's a real deep one. It's not Null, as Nocti's going to turn up. No Featherstorm available here for Mystic. Does have his flash, though, and gets himself to the right side. But Null turns up in the end, close to falling. But is able to lock that one down, and thankfully, the Young Generation, it's Big Crow that finally finds himself a kill.
Still makes it closer than it should have been, but Young Generation, they're able to go down to bottom lane with the teleport, stay down at bottom lane with that teleport. I would assume they're just going to keep going, take down this structure. Null is the only one who leaves. Condi, you saw him, he was looking at the Rift Herald. They're probably going to take that as a trade, but first turret still very much worth for Young Generation.
Yeah, 800 gold now, the leaders. Let's have a look at this fight once again and see exactly what went wrong here for Young Generation, because it looked good to start things off.
Yeah, big kill onto Shea, but a lot was used to secure him. The flash ultimate, Nocti's ultimate as well. This is the taunt that gets dodged by Mystic. He's then charmed, he's knocked up, and you're like, all right, he's dead. But he's not dead. He's actually walking towards Null while using the Blade Call in the opposite direction. And then you've got Zero's heal, Mystic getting shields on him as well, the Ardent Sensor, massive amounts of it. The fact that in the middle of a team fight, he's able to see the primary target whilst being attacked by a million people.
And also stand in a monsoon for the entirety of the time as well. That's the real scary part, because Zero was untouched.
Ardent Sensor's one hell of an item.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say a different word to close that sentence out, but exactly right. Righteous Glory now completed here for 957, as Null still has to be respected. It's a Bilgewater Cutlass utilized, shot with a knife. Doesn't feel great.
Pallet's also gone for a very different build on his Rakan. Opposed to committing to the Ardent Sensor as a rush, he goes for the Sight Sign and Boots of Mobility.
Yeah.
So he's going to be moving quickly. He's got the Aether Wisp with it. He's got the Sight Stone for extra vision if we're going to contrast that to what Zero has been placing. But he has a Lee Sin on his team. There's a chance there was already going to be a lot of vision to place down. I feel like Condi's been supplementing at the very least for Team WE.
Well, another turret is going to fall down as WE grab 2, heading down the bottom side. In response to just the one the Young Generation were able to grab on the top side of the map, just shows that this game, WE do have that tempo advantage. Backs had to come out immediately, the big Koro.
And ultimately, why we mention Rakan's build is because he's not going to spike nearly as strongly as Zero is in the current moment. We just saw a team fight happen. Zero had spiked before the fight broke out. Pallet still did his job, but Zero's job is far more significant because it augments the rest of the team. Mystic carries because Zero allows him to carry, where Pallet just engages and hopes that the team can back him up.
And it's also just being able to get a fully channeled Monsoon, especially at that stage of the game as well. Zero had only just about ticked over to the level 6 mark with an Ardent Sensor. You have a little bit more of that AP as well that a lot of the time, I mean, I know personally, you know, from a lot of experience commentating Janna games before Ardent Sensor was a thing, Monsoon was used often as disengage, things like that, not necessarily as heals, and that was doing a lot of healing. It's why it felt like Young Generation just didn't have as much damage as they should have. And now WE able to pressure them away from this outer turret in the mid lane, just nothing that they could do.
And still set up Team WE with 4 control wards that can still be placed down wherever they choose. Mystic now placing his one. There's no Baron to look at just yet, but already a semblance of wards starting to be built around the area. Because the river, very important part of Summoner's Rift that WE want to maintain. Young Generation are still warding decently well. They are still pressuring decently well. This will reset if Lee Sin goes in.
Yeah. Venus just going to head back out, and Condi waits for his buttons and bonks the Brambleback on the head.
Hello, Big Koro.
Yeah. So I was looking at Noel saying, yeah, okay, now with the Gunblade, he's going to be doing a lot of damage. Shie as well just needs to land one EQ and they're dead.
And meanwhile, of course, Mystic has been the split pusher for the team. Sitting bottom lane, now back towards the top side. They'll get 2 easy turrets for themselves. Team WE are playing this one out slowly, but it's working as they require. Young Generation, we've seen very good things from them through this series, but we're yet to see all of these good things culminate into a complete game. They have to do it now.
Well, I find it so strange, right? That now that Zero has stepped in instead of Ben, WE look so much cleaner. When, I mean, I'm thinking back to the Zero I used to know, and he's the one that, you know, plays Thresh, builds a QSS and
here we go
Guardian
again.
Angel, you know, all that sort of stuff. He's normally the one doing the crazy things, whereas currently seems to be the voice of reason and able to control them through an incredible team fight to start this one off.
A lot changes in some time when you are gone, Atlas.
Yes, I know.
He no longer builds Guardian Angels, QSS as Thresh support and just runs around trolling, but wins the game ultimately because he's just that good at League of Legends. He now plays to win. He builds Ardent Sensor. He's a changed man.
He is a changed.
Born again support.
Well, Mystic does have his Phantom Dancer completed. Haven't seen a lot of these. Seen Static Shivs and Rapid Fire Cannons as more notable options, but Mystic does want to get in there, start this fight off. I like that. Little bit lower range. Wants to be able to go toe-to-toe with some of these carries from Young Generation.
Yeah, it means that they'll be trying to assassinate him. He's gone towards the Phantom Dancer because they can actually attack him aggressively and burst him in one hit. As long as he doesn't die in one hit, he knows that he'll have a Janna to protect him through the remainder of that team fight. So when you're against the LeBlanc Lee Sin, people that can kill you in one hit effectively, you can hit them first and just constantly trade aggressively and forwards, which is what Mystic needs to do. And by doing that, he actually reduces their damage. So it complements the LPL playstyle, let's say, building a Phantom Dancer.
And also having an Ardent Sensor as well. Zero is going to be in his back pocket the whole time. The more you hit people, the more health you are getting back. That change, not yet to come in. And Shie completed his second item as well. So Black Cleaver done. 30% CDR for the Jace feels fantastic. See what he's going to go towards next, whether he's going to head towards something like a GA. We're going to continue on the lethality train. Wouldn't mind either, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he could commit towards more lethality. Duskblade is usually a good choice. It is almost a surprise that Black Cleaver's going to be his second item. As Shie, he just missed that.
Oh, he did, and he is just going to get jumped on by everyone. He's like, why? I threw him a shock blast. Should have found everything as teleport. He's actually going to come down as well. They're committing to this fight massively. Good Monsoon to try and mix this one up as the hero's entrance comes in. Nocti is a massive body in the middle of this fight as Noel is going to fall down in the end. That first pick onto Shie happens every single time, but it's still going to be a relatively close battle. There's the Featherstorm, the fight from Mystic. Wants to find more as Nocti's in trouble. Pallet, the first one to go down. Nocti gonna be the second as Mystic calls back the blades. And the twisted advance from 957 says, Venus, you ain't going anywhere, and this should just be another one for the AD carry of WE. Cool guys don't look at explosions and they lock it down.
Doesn't even look, just turns around, knows the kill is his. Zero is dead. Mystic does not care. He's still going to be aggressive. He's still going to win the rest of the team fight. Incredible performance coming out of Team WE. Big Koro, no chance of doing damage. And WE say, you know what, this is a great opportunity to just go straight to the Baron. But there's a teleport from Noel. They want to stop this if they can.
Well, we do have only one smite on the map for now. Shie has set himself up. Koro does have to be very careful. Buster Shot immediately used as the Baron's down very, very low. Condi just going to find that smite button. This will be absolutely fine, and WE block it down. It's quite a few Barons in a row now, Rusty, and they are in control of the series and definitely this game.
Feels like nobody's going to be able to stop Team WE from doing Barons. But remember, this starts with Shie completely caught out of position. Venus uses his ultimate. Now, the rest of the fight happens. Pallet's engage is sick. And you're expecting the flash taunt from Nocti here, but he flashes to get over the wall, and that's the unfortunate thing, it feels like. Uses the ultimate at the end instead of going onto Pallet. And so that big wombo, that sick move that you're expecting from Young Generation is sorely missed. Now Mystic sees it, takes the opportunity and goes forward. And Pallet wants to help. He's just hit, he's dead. He's not actually able to help at all, so he'll ultimately die. Should have just ran away, you'd have to imagine. And we'll know that in future, but Mystic kills him in one hit.
And he did close to 6,000 damage in that last fight as well. Gigantic numbers being put up, and this is why Hizaya is so incredibly respected.
You bet Hizaya. That is the game plan against Team WE.
I think Shie was the MVP, though. He initiated that fight like no other.
It was a setup.
Yeah.
Had all the setup. Big bait.
It might say 0 damage, but it's not about that. It's about getting the fight at the right stage, as Pallet's going to go down incredibly low. That shock blast. Big Koro finds himself a turret. That's not what they want. Nor gets exploded. Mystic, all of that damage we were talking about is going to be able to secure it. And now an inhibitor turret in the mid lane will be falling down. 24 minutes into the game, and the base is broken for Young Generation. The Baron falls first. WE keep moving forward. They've got a pick, and they're looking to try and grab more.
28 seconds on Null. The LeBlanc is dead. It looks like Team WE, they want to threaten the turret that is attacking the minions, was teleported towards.
Yeah, that 7 is in. Big Koro comes back, so he's going to be able to at least get some damage onto Condi here, but the first Nexus turret, it's going to fall down. They're looking for the second shock blaster flying through, and they need to get out of the way.
Young Generation have to do something.
Nexus now exposed. Grand Entrance finds absolutely nothing. No Nexus damage just yet, but that's because WE want to be getting more of these kills. Null turns back up. Blade Call is there from Mystic, though. The self-peel from the Xayah is working out, and with an exposed Nexus, WE are going to back away.
They can't end the game. They'll take the 2 turrets, though, and it means that one more team fight is all it takes to just walk through the middle lane. The inhibitor has only just died. Great push from Team WE. At the end of that push, they'll be super happy with where they are. So much money in the pockets to spend. They are well and truly set up for success, and this is a team composition that should be picking people off so readily and making it work so easily.
Yeah. And also, I mean, we mentioned when the Jace was locked in that they do need to try and get advantages as quickly as possible, with the fact that this comp can be itemized against quite efficiently. And that's certainly what they've done. The Baron buff now still with about 30 seconds to go, and they'll be able to push super creeps towards an exposed Nexus and try and finish this game off. Very close to having a more of Malmortius for Shie. So much damage available. The 3 items for Mystic are completed as well.
You're watching Shie and you just see a Storm Raiders proc surge. Immediately you look to the right of your screen and note that Big Koro found the other end of that shock blast. Team WE.
Time as well.
Here they go.
Grasp. Yeah, they're looking to try and break open another section of the base. Nocti stunned up. He's a tank, but he's just not that tanky against all the damage that WE have, and he's forced back to the fountain. An inhibitor is going to fall down, but you may as well just head towards the Nexus. 26 minutes into this game. It's game number 3. This is WE looking to secure their spot in the round of 16. They've been touted as the #1 team in China, and honestly right now, they look absolutely stunning. Shie grabs the kill. Venus is dead. Celebratory frags coming in for Team WE as the Nexus, the last to fall. Dominant victory from the Chinese home crowd team, WE.
Not the cleanest of 3-0s, but a 3-0 nonetheless. If we erase game number 2 from our memories, it still looked like there was nothing that was going to slow them down, nothing that was going to stop them. Young Generation knew it was going to be an upset if they took even a map from Team WE, but they were not allowed. Condi said no and refused to give them one.
And Young Generation did look pretty good in game number 2, especially in the moments that they had control over, but honestly, it's a little bit inexcusable to throw Barons like they did twice in a row. Did mean that this felt like WE had it in the bag. But that man on your screen taking the front, 0, subbing in for game number 3, and honestly felt like WE, despite how clean game number 1 was, it was so much more controlled in game number 3. Never felt like WE were able to be tripped up or stopped in their onslaught against Young Generation. It was probably one of the cleanest of the 3-0s that we've seen, apart from, I guess, yeah, game number 2.
Hey man, even Cloud9 had a game number 2. Happens to the best of them. But WE still look very good throughout the entirety of this series, and you're right, they bring in 0, they make the sub to the super sub 0, and they do look clean. They look a little bit more controlled.